Hi, I'm Kenny Klaus, and this is State 48 Homeowner.
There's been a lot of news about water in the last couple years, especially as we start to see along the Colorado River the levels dropping, and some really shocking footage of Lake Mead and how low that is. And so we want to dive into a conversation and how all of that is playing out here in Arizona, how we understand that we're in the desert, there's a finite amount of water, and so let's have a conversation about what we're doing about that. And so glad to have you join us, Councilmember Scott Somers from District 6, City of Mesa. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation.
I don't think a lot of people realize how big Mesa is. It's actually one of the largest cities in America, larger than Atlanta, Miami, St. Louis.
I think it was Mayor Smith that said Mesa is the largest city you've never heard of.
Yes.
But that's becoming less and less. We're getting larger and more people are hearing about us. So
it's the largest suburb in the United States.
Slowly trying to shed that moniker, yeah.
Are we going to take over Phoenix at some point? I don't think so. But
no, I don't think we'll take over Phoenix. But if you consider a suburb being mostly where people live and then they commute to work, we're seeing a change.
Yeah, that is very different. And a lot of that's happening down in District 6, which is Southeast Mesa. And the transformation over the last couple of years in just what you see, the amount of businesses that have relocated here. The Elliott Tech Corridor didn't exist a few years back, and it was just all desert. I remember driving past the proving grounds and just miles and miles of fence in the middle of the desert.
Of dying oleanders. I had a lot of phone calls on dying oleanders for a while.
So let's talk about water. We're in the desert, and water is scarce, and yet we're here because, historically we've brought water to the Valley of the Sun. And how much do we depend on the Colorado River for water?
It is a significant share of Mesa's water resources. I think we need to start by assuring your listeners that Mesa has one of the strongest water portfolios of any city in Arizona. That's what is important. We get our water from SRP and from the Colorado River. The city's split into 3 zones. So SRP water is tied to the land. So the water we get from that has to go to West Mesa, roughly Gilbert Road, west of there. That's SRP water. We have plenty of SRP water. As a matter of fact, people will probably notice the rivers are going to start flowing soon if they haven't already. And that's excess water coming off of that system. East Mesa is a little different. It's split into 2 more zones, and both of those come off the CAP. And so there's Zone 2, which is...
And that's Central Arizona Project, which is water directly from the Colorado River.
Right, and this is the water that we're concerned about. So that water comes into Northeast Mesa and into District 6 and Southeast Mesa. In addition to those 2 water sources, we also tap into the aquifer that's below us. Mm-hmm. So you'll hear about a lot of drilling going on for wells that we're going to be pulling. Those aquifers are actually fairly healthy. So we're doing pretty good with the underground water right now.
And that underground water just comes from rainfall, but also snowpack?
Snowpack, rainfall, and we also recharge the aquifer, which is called water banking. Mm-hmm. So when we have excess water, what Mesa has done is it's charged its bank. I think we have over 520,000 acre feet of water in our bank that we can draw off of, which would supply us for several years.
Okay. And so with increased snow, does that impact that significantly, or?
It can, depending on which aquifer it's draining into, but also how much of that has the opportunity to melt and percolate into the ground, because we could still lose a lot of that to evaporation. So just because we see a lot of snow doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to capture a lot of that water.
And some of that water is going to stay up in the mountains and not
Right.
come our way.
Right.
So what is Mesa looking at long term? Is there going to have to be changes because of what's happening on the Colorado River?
Certainly. We're doing a lot of work in our system, actually. And this started more than a decade ago, even during my first terms from 2006 to 2014. We were looking at our water infrastructure and how we can improve it. Mm-hmm. One thing that we've done to increase our potable water, our drinkable water, is we've made an agreement with the Gila River Indian community. Uh-huh. And what we do is we will send them water that's not drinkable, that's water that we've reclaimed. And they use
the purple water,
the purple pipe.
No beavers.
Yeah, we will send them that water, and in exchange, we will get the Colorado River water. So, what GRIC does with their water is they use it for agriculture. They don't need potable water for that, but we need it to drink. So we'll send them, for example, for every 5 acre feet, they'll give us 4 acre feet of Colorado River water, which we can then make drinkable and send through our system. So one thing that we're doing is we're investing millions in a larger pipe, the purple pipe, that will go from a treatment plant up in North Mesa down to the Gila River. So they'll have full access to that. So we're going to start construction on that major section of it in the coming months.
Now, is that difficult to do? Because that's got to go through other municipalities.
Yes. So it's going to go mostly through District 4. So not District 6. This is a treat for anybody who's looking at all the road construction
We have
going
construction in Mesa?
We have a little bit in the district, yeah. So it's, the pain of growing. But that will go through District 4, and then it'll go through a little bit of Gilbert as well. So we made arrangements with those communities. All the permits have been pulled, and we'll start construction very soon.
Okay. So there's a lot of things that are happening in District 6. One of those is the Elliott Tech Corridor. And there's some stuff, a lot of water feeds into those data centers.
Well, one in particular, Meta, will be using a lot of water. A lot of the data centers that are there's not a whole lot there. There's several. But the data centers that are there or who have expressed interest in coming here are air-cooled. So Meta will be the one. Meta, however, in their construction, is planning to transition away from water-cooled and use more air-cooled. So we'll start to see a decline in the amount of water that they use. In addition, a new company that's coming to District 6 will be locating at Gateway East. So that'll be on the east side of Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. Is called Zynergy. And Zynergy is a Canadian-based company. They're going to locate offices here and manufacturing, and they manufacture the air-cooled systems that go into these data centers. In addition, they do research and development. So we will have not only the data centers here, but the ability to produce the equipment to reduce the water demand from these.
Now, does the air-cooled systems draw more power then?
All data centers draw a lot of power. Yeah, it's unbelievable. You put photos on your phone, and they have to be stored somewhere, and those servers suck up a lot of juice. But there's a lot of energy down. SRP continues to do work to improve the power grid down here, and that's one of the things that's drawing businesses, manufacturing to this part of Mesa is the availability of electricity.
Yeah, and one of the great things about so much cloud business coming here is it's a safe industry. It's not, we're not investing in something that could just be a fad for a time like, some other communities have invested in, a specific type of tech, and then that tech went away, or adapted as we moved from computers to laptops to mobile. Here, we're pretty sure that data is going to be needed as we get
for the foreseeable future.
As we become more and more dependent on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And those jobs do pay very well. So that's another bonus of having these companies here.
Hey everyone, this is Kenny Klaus with Klaus Team Real Estate Solutions. We know there's a lot of confusion in today's market, whether it's billboards, TV, radio, mail. Everyone's trying to get your attention. They offer one lane, where at the Klaus Team, we have over 20 different programs we can help you navigate through to find out what's best for you. And remember, we work for you, they work for themselves. We're here to represent you and make sure you have the best experience possible.
Visit us at klausteam.com/call us first. Now, as we look forward, I know there's some other data centers in the plans, some big ones too. Are they planning to be water-cooled or air-cooled, do you know?
I haven't heard any new water-cooled interest. It's all air-cooled.
Okay.
And it's not like there's a lot of these companies coming. I've heard maybe 2 more are interested, but they haven't selected a site yet.
All right. And then golf courses are non-potable water.
Yeah, right. And that's something else the city has been doing is looking at how we landscape our parks, the golf courses, how much grass do you need, switching to turf where that's available. For those who know about Bellbank Park, if you've ever been there, a lot of their grass is actually turf. So the only water they use on those is just that little bit to cool it down before a game starts.
And keep it clean.
Exactly.
So for homeowners in Mesa and Arizona as a whole, what do they need to be concerned about water? Are they going to need to, do we anticipate that they're going to need to take on different levels of conservation?
I would say you need to be water wise. People are paying attention to the water issues in Arizona, and it's a real concern, but it's not a panic. We are managing through it. We are working with our partners, for example, over in SRP to increase the capacity of our lakes. Mesa is buying into that, so that excess capacity that we're buying we'll be able to use throughout the city. So
it's a matter of raising the
dam. And we've done that too. In the early 90s, I believe, we raised one of the dams here in Arizona, and we're looking to do that again with the ability to capture more water, more runoff.
Yeah, because it is a little frustrating when we know that we have water issues and then we're releasing water off the dams.
Yeah, and when we do release water, we do try to capture to bank some of that. Right. So it's not all of it's running away, but you'd sure like to capture every last drop because you know it's a really valuable commodity.
Yep. So what can homeowners do to conserve? I know landscaping is a big piece of it, converting to desert landscaping whenever possible.
As much as 70% of water used in a home is for landscaping. That's a big number. And most of that is for grass. So Mesa has a program where you can convert your grass to artificial turf and xeriscaping, which is what I have in my yard. I mean, my dog had no problem with it. The grandkids come over. They have no problem running on it. There's some really high quality turf now that you can purchase that stays cooler.
Oh yeah,
and doesn't use any water.
And it's so I'm in my front yard. I'm xeriscape. On the backyard, I have xeriscape and artificial turf. And I have a dog. And a lot of people go, and I have kids, and so people go, oh, but it gets so hot. We've never been burned by the turf, and my kids run out there barefoot and stuff. My dog loves it. Every 6 to 8 weeks, I'll walk out in the yard and notice a smell. And there's this thing that you can get on Amazon, and you just hook it up to the hose, and it takes about 5 minutes to just spray that over the turf. The odors are gone for another 6 to 8 weeks. And it looks like regular grass. I've never sat there and looked at it and gone, man, I wish I could have regular grass and mow that.
And weed it. and feed it. Yeah. And there are even small businesses, companies locally now who come out and they'll clean it too. So they'll rake it back up, because sometimes it lays down, and they'll rake it back up and freshen it and clean it and take all those odors away. And maybe if you do that once a year, I mean, it keeps it looking like new. It's great services.
Yep.
So it's low maintenance, doesn't use water, and you can get a rebate from the City of Mesa for taking out your large water use plants and grass and converting that to xeriscape and turf.
And if people want to dive into the conversation a little bit deeper, they can go to mesa.gov and /conservation.
Yes, or /water.
Okay.
Either one of those will bring you to some really good information.
The Klaus team is different. With the Klaus team, you have someone on your side. Where you live and make memories is important. We have more unique strategies than anyone else to help you accomplish what matters most to you. We can help you with traditional real estate as well as other options such as our lease purchase programs. We can help you buy first then sell, and we can bring you instant offers. We're here to help our neighbors achieve the American dream and help them build wealth through home ownership. For more info or to start your home search, visit us online at klausteam.com. There's another thing that the City of Mesa does with water that I want to make sure we touch on, because we're coming up on that in just a little bit. From June until the end of September, we have the Mesa Hydration Campaign. And that is just such a... we've been glad to be a part of that for, I think, probably about 8 or 9 years as a drop-off location. But, we get so hot in Arizona, and we have vulnerable populations that really aren't always going to have access to water. And I know we've had people say, oh, but why are you collecting bottled water? It is the best way to get water to people.
Under that circumstance, yeah. And my career was in fire and emergency services. I was a paramedic for 31 years with Phoenix Fire Department. And every summer, the number of heat exhaustions go up. And the fire department, we would take that water with us, put it on the fire truck in an ice bucket, and patients who were having heat emergencies, we could give them one. People who were on the streets out on their luck, we would be able to hand out the water. So that's how
it works really well in Mesa with some great partners like United Food Bank, who is able to store a lot of it as it comes in. They get it out to different organizations like New Leaf, Paz de Cristo, to the park rangers, and to police, to fire, and make sure that they all have water to be able to give to somebody that, whether or not they're in distress or just to have on hand. But we do have a lot of vulnerable people in Mesa, not just homeless, but we do have seniors that sometimes don't let people know that they don't have that resource. They're embarrassed to say that the water got shut off, and or that their AC is not working, things like that. And so want to encourage people that if you have the opportunity during the summer in Mesa to donate bottles of water to the Mesa Hydration Campaign, and they can find that at mesa.gov/H2O.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you for coming by and answering a lot of these questions about water. I know we've had a lot of people asking, and what are we doing? Is it as drastic as things seem? Now, California has a lot of control over that, though.
They do, and that's something the Colorado River water, Arizona gave its rights to California. California has primary rights over the Colorado River water back in the 60s, and it was my understanding Arizona did that in order to get funding for the federal government for a lot of the channels that we have here that transport water, and nobody ever thought, well, we'll run out of Colorado water one day. Well, here we are, and it's not necessarily just drought, but this is probably more of a historic reality of where the water will be. So we need to think smarter. We mean the city will continue to make investments. Another investment we're doing, spending millions on replacing pipes that were 40, 50, 100 years old in downtown Mesa at one point.
We're just losing water.
And we're losing water like a sieve in those pipes. So we have been working for the better part of a decade or more to replace those pipes. And you'll hear about projects like our water storage tanks that will empty that and redo the lining inside, just like your pool. Or if you have a pop-up pool, nobody here does. It's all under. Back in New York, everybody's was above ground.
That's what I grew up with too.
Yeah, I grew up with an above ground one, but if you tear that lining, it starts leaking into the ground. So we're replacing those to make sure that we're preserving as much water, that we're not losing that water, and we will continue to explore ways to reuse water, the non-potable water, for landscaping and other things. And something I'm interested in pursuing is looking at how we expand our incentive program for not just turf, but other projects that are proven to be beneficial as well. You and I have turf at our house, so we're not going to use that incentive program, but maybe we do a rain barrel. So you can capture that. All that water comes off your roof, goes into a rain barrel, and you use that to water your landscape instead of the portable water. So something we're going to start talking about on council.
Well, thank you so much for coming by. If people want to reach you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, they can email me at District6, it's the number 6, District6 at mesaaz.gov.
Well, thank you so much. It's how long you served? 8 years before, and now you're back.
8 years before, yeah.
And then took an 8-year break and starting back up again.
Yeah, there are term limits in Mesa, so we can do 2 4-year terms. I served my term, got us through the largest economic recession since the Great Depression. Those were tough years. Laid the foundation of the Elliott Road Technology Corridor, Gateway Airport, Ray Road, all that development. We started Eastmark and Cadence as those communities. And then for the past 8 years, Kevin Thompson was our council member. He has moved on to the Corporation Commission. He did a fantastic job, took the football and ran with it. And when he was terming out, I started looking at it and going, I helped govern through a recession. I'd like to govern at a time where we could build something. So I was happy to have the honor to be able to return.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thanks for spending time with us this week at State 48 Homeowner, the ins and outs of owning an Arizona home. You can connect with us for more information, submit topics you'd like us to further discuss. You can see relevant videos, give us feedback, answer your real estate questions, and more at state48homeowner.com.